You guys hear me?
Yeah, sorry, I have not started it.
Okay, I understand. Anybody else in the same boat? No?
I started by I assume it's a lot of work there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we will spend today kind of going at that together because I really want to have this you guys go through that exercise before we move forward because otherwise we just keep adding more assignments and there is no reason to if you haven't had a chance to do this one. So how do you want to do this? Do you want to kind of do this as a class exercise together and walk through the methods, the code, and just kind of write the code together, or do you want to do separately? What works best?
I think together would work if everybody's on board.
Okay, anybody objects to kind of working at it with it together?
No objections.
All right. So how maybe you guys have done this in the QA class, maybe not, because do you want to have somebody kind of driving the coding, or how do you want to collaborate through that? Imagine you were like a team of developers and you were given a project. How would you want to organize it? No idea.
How do you see this work?
What was it, Steph?
How do you see this work? I didn't get what you mean. How do
Right. So, do you want to have like one person having, the code and basically everybody just chimes in on how it should be coded, somebody sharing the screen? How do you want to work together, basically? So that's what I'm asking. So we decided we're going to work on it together, right? So what does that mean for us? How do we want to work on it together?
Is somebody willing to share the screen? Does somebody have a project started? Sophia or maybe Jane?
Yeah, but yeah, I can share, but I don't know how others will go because I have a lot of methods done. We can try.
Yeah, so the kind of the methods we identified. So go ahead and I'll allow you to share. So go ahead with that. So we identified some of the methods and properties last time. So it's in Slack. So maybe we can kind of start. Well, if you have like the project open, I think we can just kind of talk about the methods and the parameters, and so you already have a lot. So
Yeah, that's why I didn't really understand. I can just briefly describe what I've done. I created a interface, a vending machine with the common With the take money, provide product, return money, and add product.
Okay.
Yeah. Then I have the method where I implement all of these methods and additional ones. Also, I created 2 different groups as a drinkers and snacks in order to differentiate drinks and snacks. Also, I have a product class in order to save here these fields, product name, product price, and minimum quantity. I have a constructor here, getters, setters. Also, it's empty. Also, I have a driver in order with the main method in order to run. Yeah. Here I have several methods. Vending machine.
Mhm.
I created a scanner in class level. And here, when the user turn on or just go to the vending machine, he saw this. I can run it. He saw this welcome to vending machine. Please choose action, and he can choose add product, remove product, add product. I mean in his order, his or her. Display product to see what in his what is his other order. Checkout out it's just a typo, and exit. Yeah.
Cool. So
I have several methods how to remove product, add product, load products in vending machine, add snacks, add drinks, different methods.
wow.
Display products, take money, but it's really raw code.
Mm-hmm.
It stops on some particular step, but you
Mhm.
see common picture. You can see here.
Right.
I can just try to add something. I have the list of all available options, drink, snack,
Yeah.
return to the main menu or exit. I can
Yeah.
choose snack, and I can see the available options from snacks. I can choose the quantity, how many items do you want? 3. I can drink some, I can choose more, or I can return to the main menu or exit from,
Mm-hmm.
I can just return. Display product checkout, it's not ready yet.
Mm-hmm.
I just, we have a small group. We were working as a small group with this project.
Mhm.
Yeah, and we just covered these 2 methods. Display product checkout. It's not ready yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really very raw. Yeah, when I push exit, it's just telling me thank you for being with us. Goodbye. I don't know what to say.
This is good. This is really good. So,
I thought also about this notification service,
okay.
or maybe it will be just the method where, for example, if the user buy five bottle of Coke,
Mhm.
and in vending machine we have just 3, and vending machine can send some notification to the I don't know, some administrator that
Okay.
has just 3, or he has now,
Mhm.
or something like this. But it's just my thoughts. I don't know.
Yeah. Alerting.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So definitely looks like you are well on your way in this, so which is good. Thank you. So let's kind of use this as a base, and it sounds like you're still working on it, and I think that
Yeah.
others in the class can benefit to kind of get a start. And so let's maybe go through some of the code, and I can provide some feedback, and maybe you can ask some questions on areas where you feel you may not be so clear about, or maybe there are different ways of doing things. Does that sound okay?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, so let's start kind of from the beginning. So on the highest level, let's look at the interface, right? So before we kind of get into the details, so you have the interface, vending machine, and take money, right? Provide product, return money, which means change, and then a loading product into the vending machine. So and yeah, I assume return money is it will be used for change, or when they if the person, let's say, change their mind, right? That the same method you want to use, right?
If the customer want to return some items.
Yeah, if they want to change their mind, right? So if they put their money, but then they decided they want to refund, that's the return money, right? Or if they purchasing something and we need to give them change, it's also return money, right? Same method. Okay, just wanted to clarify. Cool. So we got return money. Return money should probably not be a void, because unless we want to.
Double.
Yeah. So double is probably a good. Usually, money is represented by a decimal or a double, but we can do with a double. So that's good. And then the add product is basically going to add the product to the vending machine. Cool. All right. So I think does that cover everything the vending machine should do? What do we think? Seems like, just looking at the notes that we have. So yeah, that's what we covered. And then obviously you started looking at the notification. So maybe notification would be another property to implement here later, right? Notify operator or something like that. You can it probably be a void notify operator. So that's for your later code, right? Yeah, I'll call it notify operator, and it's some type of a message we'll send them, maybe just a string or something like that. So Okay, so I think that nicely represents what our vending machine does. Cool. So let's go jump into the actual vending machine, how we have the, all right. Okay, so you have a few properties here, and you have a hash map and a list of product objects. And then obviously a scanner to get the input. So the order this first one does what exactly?
It's the customer's order. In this map, we are saving everything he adds. For example, he wants one Coke, one crackers, and we save it a string as a name of product and integer as a quantity, how many items he wants to order.
Gotcha. So this is basically a representation of when they get the product, and then they the quantity, right? How many quantities? Okay. Do vending machines even give us an option to do a different quantities? Which is cool that you're doing it. I'm just, it's definitely a bonus. Usually,
I don't know how it works in
you
US.
know, yeah, I think in the real world, if I'm not mistaken, you basically put the money and the press one button for which,
Just for one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you want to order next one, you just
Have to do it again.
Yeah, have to do it again.
But this is good that you're providing an option to not only.
But I like your thoughts more because it's easier to implement this scenario.
Okay, so well, I mean, if you already have this implemented, this is good. I mean, this is.
Yeah, we have some problems with this map.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah, in that methods, but maybe we will.
Let's solve them, right? I mean, I think it's better to solve them and then go back to something easier. So let's keep it like this. And then you have the list of products.
List of products.
That's where, is that inventory?
I forgot. List of products. List of products. It's a list. The whole list of products we have in the vending machine. It's snacks and drinks all together. We just created in order to save it here when we create load products method. We just want to call product class and to create the drink class instance and give him name, price, quantity, minimum quantity, and value.
Yeah.
For it's for drink. For snacks, we give the same name, price, quantity, and calories. We have different this value and calories in these two classes.
Oh.
And here we just store everything in list.
Gotcha. So this is a inventory basically of the machine.
Yeah, when we load the product.
Right.
To the vending machine.
Yeah. So list of products. So cool, got it. So I would, just a suggestion, I would actually rename that just to kind of maybe inventory or something like that, because that's what it is, right? It's inventory that machine has. So cool, but yeah, we're basically represented by a list of different products, which product is how you represent the item in the inventory. Okay. Can we look at do you have the product class defined somewhere or?
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. So let's look at that. So we got the product name, price, and mean quantity. All right. So product name, price, and the mean quantity is when we basically say it's not enough anymore, right? Product name, set product name, get product price. Okay. And then you basically have getters and setters to return. So nice. All right, that's simple enough. That's good. In a production world, you probably want to have some property representing an ID for the product. So because you're going to save it in the database, right, and all of that stuff. So you may want to for the real world scenario, and you don't have to add it in this exercise, but yeah, ID.
What I mean, ID of a product, I mean that the user will type just the numbers or not.
Good question. No, actually, you'd probably generate it yourself, right? So you generate, a subtype of a ID when you create the product, or it'll get generated in a database when you save in the database. So think of the real world scenario. You'd probably save this product into the database, right? So load products into the machine. You wouldn't be just saving in memory like we're doing here for this sample exercise. You'd save it into the database, right? So when you save into the database table, like a product table, will have a primary key, which is likely to be an ID, right? So that's where most likely they are, you're going to have that value generated. Does it make sense?
We'll see.
Yeah. So let's, but yeah, this is kind of not for this purpose, but for for the real world scenario. So you don't have to add it for this. So product class looks good. So let's go back one. All right, so okay, so we are here. So let's go to so we got the vending machine app. So you have kind of that vending machine app.
It's just the main menu
Okay.
where the customer can can press wherever he wants by the numbers integers here, and he can add some products, he can remove, he can display, check out, and that's it.
So how's this called? How's this called? This vending machine app, where is it called from?
We just created in here.
So how, what's where is this method called from?
Yeah, we call it in driver here.
Driver. Okay, so we got the vending machine app. Okay, so you're basically saying kind of started, right?
Yeah, it's a starting point. Just
gotcha.
Yeah, we wanted to make our main method very short. And for this time, we just needed to call this method,
Uh-huh.
and this method called other methods. They're here in each step.
Gotcha, gotcha. So basically kind of like we're, you know, you think of that as we're kind of powering on the vending machine, right? We're basically turning on the electricity, right? And
Yeah, yeah.
plugging it in. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. So then the vending machine gives us, this is kind of the starting point. It says, okay, yeah, I'm gonna load products. The load products, I'm thinking about that. We probably want to not have the vending machine do that in kind of when it starts up. We may want to at the, you know, potentially just have
After each method, you think?
So I'm thinking, you know, before, so you think of that, right? You plug in the vending machine, and then you usually, like in the real life scenario, you would open it at load products, right? So maybe the load products would be called from that main method. That's you know, where you kind of you know, you had the, yeah, so when we create the vending machine instance, then we would call load products. What do you think of that? What do you guys think of that?
Don't you like calling it here in this method?
Because usually you have like the vending machine you know, instance, and you know, the class, and you have a method on that class. So you know, you basically, you should have a more control of when you load products, right? So basically you kind of here the vending machine will just load products by itself, you know, which doesn't really sound you know, very elegant to me. Basically, you know, you plug in the vending machine, and then it's gonna just load itself up with products without you know, without any what if you know, what if you don't want to load products yet, or something like that? Basically, if you kind of take this away from your initialization, you may want to have a little bit more flexibility on when you load products. But so that's my thought of that. But you know, it's, again, it's not not critical. So let's leave it here. So basically, we're kind of loading products, and then we're showing the menu, right? So do what do you want to do here? So welcome to our vending machine. I'll let you finish that typing. And okay, perfect. Yeah. So please choose action. Okay, cool. So that's our interface. And then they choose a product. Okay, so then case one. So they want to do, okay, add products, right? So here, basically, what is that? The first one, add product. What does that do? Add product. Yeah.
It's the method here.
Go.
Yeah, if the user choose add product, he can see the next menu. He can choose product from drinks next, or he can return to the main menu, or he can exit.
So would that be user? Is that for the owner of the vending machine to?
Yeah, no, it's for a customer.
Oh, okay. Then I'm a little confused on the name. So how would how user app?
We think it's add product to customer's order.
Add product to customer's order.
But if you think that customer can order just one item, yeah.
Oh, this is basically adding, I see. So if they kind of bought one, they
Yeah.
can add more. I see.
Yeah.
Okay. I keep forgetting that we made our vending
Uh-huh.
machine super smart. Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha.
Super smart.
Yeah, well, super flexible, I guess. All right. So
It's a new type of vending machine.
yes, yes.
It's the future.
That's right. Okay, got it. So then they can add something. All right, so that makes sense. So let's go back to.
From your point of view, add product is for I don't know, for administrator who will load the product. Yeah.
Yeah. So
We didn't think about it.
no, that's totally fine. That's you have your your representation of that, which is makes sense, right? You kind of using this as a full-fledged e-commerce system, which is great. I didn't even ask for that, and that's great. So so that's where, if let's go back to the beginning where you have that menu. So so number one, so they can add product. Number two, they can remove product. 3, display product, and then 4, checkout, and 5, exit. Okay. Yeah, so this is probably where we could add potentially. So going back to the discussion about loading products, this is where probably we could give an option like 0 for administrator in there, and just if the administrator wants to load the machine, they would have like an option. They would press like 7 or something, or 6. And that's where you basically give more control for when the load method is called. So yeah, so maybe I add another case there, and in that case call the load products. Okay. All right. So that's good. Now, okay, so how do they add the initial product? Like, what do they do to, let's say I want a Coke. What do I choose? Add product?
Okay, yes, add product. You
Yeah.
go to add product. You see drink, snack,
Mm-hmm.
and other. If you
Yeah.
want drink, you just push first one.
Yep. Got it.
Yeah,
That's
and
nice.
we go to add drink.
Yeah, nice.
Add drink, add drink. Where is add drink? Here.
Mm-hmm.
Then users choose the drink. He can
Mm-hmm.
Coca-Cola, soda, just water, juice,
Mm-hmm.
and return to the main menu.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so basically, you're letting them choose it goes from the ad, I want the product, and then what type of product, and then what type of, so the category, and then the whatever, products in that category. That's
Yeah, here we thought that we need to use some parameters
mm-hmm.
because we work with the order list of products.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I say it's a row. It's not complete. That's why.
It's so, I mean, you're doing a lot, right? So basically you kind of you're listing all of the products by a so they do let's say 1 Coca-Cola, and then you're saying how many items you want, and then you get the quantity, and then
Yeah. Here we just put in map as a string product name Coca-Cola and the quantity, for example, 1 bottle of Coca-Cola. And here we also subtract the quantity, how many bottles customer bought
Gotcha.
from the quantity of how many was in vending machine.
So what why are you looping through the list of products to add? So let's say you have like why do we need to loop? Because they're basically the user is telling you, I want a Coke and I want one of them. Why do you need to loop through the list of inventory? Can't you just add it directly to the order so you have that hash map? So wouldn't you just add directly? What's the point?
Order put list, this one, this
Yep.
line, you mean, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. What's the point of looping? Like, why do you need to find that the product name? It's not, you're not letting the user, you don't need to basically I guess verify that you have, basically what it looks like, you're like trying to verify that you have a product name called Coca-Cola, which I think I see the case where you probably thinking you may be making sure that you have that in your inventory, right?
Yeah,
So
we
maybe
want to check,
if you have it in your inventory.
yes, if we have it. That's
Gotcha.
why we go through all the list of products. Yeah, if we have the name of this request, Coca-Cola, in this list, we just put it in our map.
Gotcha. So this is kind of your way to make sure that you still have that product before you add it to that shopping cart. Okay. I think we can probably build on that. So basically, maybe, well, we can probably do two things. We can probably take that code, and before we display the user what we have, so maybe that code is probably better in the when you're printing the the choices here. Yeah, I would put it there, because basically you want to only show the user what you have for better user experience, right? If you don't have Coke, you don't just, let's not show it.
Show all available options, you mean?
Yeah. Right.
Here.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that
we have a display method, but we didn't finish it yet.
okay. So maybe that's
we will finish it and it will display
uh-huh.
all available here. Yes, display products.
Gotcha. So yeah, I
Oh
think
no, here we will. We thought that display products is the whole order of the user. It's another thing.
gotcha. Yeah. So this is basically where you're saying, okay, before they pay, you show them what they about to purchase, like confirmation type of a thing. But yeah, so I think this is where you could probably, as you construct in that print line, you can just go through the list of products and display the ones that you have. So then once they choose, and then as you display in the list of products, maybe this is where you could actually use that ID. Remember, we talked about the product and the ID. So maybe you could, so instead of then trying to figure out whether they press 1, 2, or 3, you have you'd show the ID would be like 1 for Coke, maybe 2 for soda, 3 for water. So think of that. You could use an ID, and then you just loop through a list of products, and you'd show them ID 1, name, and stuff like that. And basically, you could be basically using ID as a instead of like 1, 2, 3. So not a huge thing, but could potentially help to kind of reduce the lines here. All right, so then they choose. Cool. We show them everything we got. They choose one of the options. So then you add it to the order list. So that's cool. Then you reduce the minimum quality. How do we reduce the inventory, right? So the product list has to be reduced as well, right? Because we are, well, maybe you're doing that later when you probably doing it when you are actually giving them the product.
Yeah. We need,
Maybe
I
not
think
yet.
we need just a separate method. Thank you.
Yeah, so you probably want to call a method, maybe take from inventory, but yeah, you only need to do it when you disperse the product. So I guess we'll go to that further down the line. Cool. All right. So far so good. So we're gonna reduce the mean quality. We added there. Okay. So then they added a drink. Now what can they do next? Can they
After adding, for example, to customer has an option maybe to choose some snack or to go to checkout or to go to the main menu or to exit from the application.
So I know they can add more stuff, so that's cool. So I think we've covered that. Let's go to checkout, see how they can get their hands on.
We didn't.
Gotcha, not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, it's empty.
Okay.
Here, yeah, I don't have it here.
So checkouts, what are you thinking around that? What are they? So we want to, when they want to check out, we want to ask them to put money, right?
Yeah, maybe first we will display all order with the price.
Okay.
And maybe we will ask customer to pay. Also, we have separate methods for change return menu product. I think it's and take money, maybe take money, but it's also raw. We will call this method in checkout. I don't know, we didn't cover it.
Well, so don't forget the interface you created, right? So make sure this machine that actually implements the interface. So the interface was take money, right? Yes, this one. So this is how you basically wrote the contract. The interface will you know. So here's the thing: when you write an interface, you're basically saying, in order for anybody to interact with my machine, this is how you interact with it. Right. So usually, basically what this means is, without knowing much about the internal of how the machine works, like somebody comes in and say, I want to use your vending machine. Okay, well, here's the 4 methods. Just call these and you're going to be using our vending machine.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the whole purpose of the interface,
Yeah,
to make it very simple to use your object, your vending machine. So here's how kind of the customer, based on the interface, which is great that you wrote, a client would interact with the machine by, add product, right? So this is a first thing that they would want to call. And I assume that add product, you mean actually adding it to their like shopping list, right?
Mm-hmm.
They would call add product, and then they would probably call, maybe instead of take money, I would probably rename it put money, right? Because
Yeah.
like insert money. So, the vending machine is not gonna reach to their pocket and take their money, but, they're basically gonna put money. And then the vending machine would just, the customer, usually, the interface from the kind of the user perspective. So they would, the get product or get money. So again, naming isn't however you look at it, but that's kind of the sequence of events, right? They add product, they take money, and then provide product is called. So think of sequencing kind of your actions in the machine in that order, right? So anything that your shopping machine, the provides, goes around those methods. So what I'm saying, don't forget about the interface you wrote, right? So that when you guys are kind of thinking about how to structure things, and I know it gets, there's a lot of stuff, right? There's a lot of code that you have, which is right thing. You're doing a lot in your vending machine, but use your interface as a guide to kind of sometimes step back and say, okay, if how would I communicate with this vending machine, and in the implementation, am I going around it and creating methods that are not in the interface, right? Otherwise, you basically make an interface useless. So
yes.
You see what I mean? So what you're gonna find out is, if you kind of keep going and not taking a look back at your interface, and maybe you need to tweak the interface a little bit, but I think your interface, other than the names, is good. That's what we kind of, we discussed last Tuesday. Interface is good. That's kind of how we, we think of a vending machine. So if you tweak the names, I think it'll be very clear. And as you go in and adding methods like checkout and all of those things, if look at the interface. Otherwise, you're gonna have 10, 15 methods, and then you're gonna go back and say, okay, this interface doesn't even make sense anymore. So yeah, basically the main point here is interface is how you want it's a contract, right? This is how your object, your class works. So keep that in mind.
So if we want, just imagine someone in the future wants to use this kind of our interface, we will just force him to override all these methods.
Well, I mean, not necessarily. You would basically the whole point of interface is not to force or to override, but potentially, it's a flexibility, right? So basically, you could have multiple types of vending machines. If they all implement this interface, then they can all be interchangeable. So you could have vending machines that sell different products, that do different things, but as long as they implement those methods, then you can use them interchangeably. That's kind of the whole idea of polymorphism, right? Different behaviors created dynamically comes from. So that's the idea. So you wouldn't necessarily make somebody change the re-implement the interface. It's basically, it makes it clear how to work with your class, with the vending machine class. But if you have more different types of vending machine, then it becomes even, it's flexible. So, right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. So this is good. I really like the design, the display thing. That's really cool. How you kind of have that, tiers. We could potentially move that, out of the, when we kind of start talking about how to make this, break up this class. I think the interface, we can probably look into doing something with that. Maybe well, I think for starters, we'll probably want to rename the method show interface, right? Because that's what you're doing. So we might want
This
to,
one.
yeah, because that's what you basically show, kind of show interface. Yeah, that's what you're doing. That's the user interface, right? You kind of plug in and you showing the user interface. So that's, we're probably gonna at a later point, once you in that you farther along, you guys are farther along, we can probably start breaking out some other classes as well from the interface or something like that. But we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we'll remove those loops. Yeah, and then checkout. Again, the checkout is probably, we'll need to figure out how to basically you have to call ask the user to insert the money. So checkout will be basically you have to call the insert money or take money. So from there.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you for your feedback.
Yeah, this is awesome. So continue working on that. It sounds like you guys have done some group work already, so this is good. So what do you think? Is this helpful kind of to create a project like that?
It's helpful. It's not giving us to forget about Java.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because now we are all in Selenium,
Okay.
in Git things.
Yeah. Well, I think you can see with the problem of this size, it's a little bit more complex. You guys probably have done in this class. You see how much code, right, you're already writing, to solve this problem. And you see it starts becoming a little bit, you get a little overwhelmed with, there's a lot of code, right, a lot of things. So that's where all the principles we're learning, kind of separation of concerns, naming conventions, all those things will help you, refactor this. And you don't have to do it right away, right? It's what you're doing is perfect. You're dumping everything, you guys kind of putting all of that in there, all the thoughts, and then as you start thinking about that, you kind of refactor, right? Like I said, look at the interface. Make sure that anybody can communicate with your vending machines through the interface you created. Now I have, we definitely have this added complexity of this, the actual user messaging, right? So that's something, adding a little bit complexity, because as the users actually communicate with your machine through the user interface, not the actual interface you wrote, like vending machine. So that adds a little, a little bit more complexity into this. So, but this is really cool. So I think basically the challenge next for you guys is to kind of make sure that the user interface, the messaging you're showing there is aligned with the interface that you have for the vending machine. So
it's definitely useful.
Yeah.
The main issue here is time.
How long did it take you guys to do this one?
Several days, 1-2 hours. I don't know, maybe 5 hours.
Okay, well that's
maybe 3 hours. I don't know. We're also once like to speak about another themes,
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, you got to make it fun, right? It can be all coding, so. All right. Well, I appreciate this is good. So please continue working on it, and we can kind of continue reviewing this. You guys are doing, this is good. All right. Any other questions on this, or anything else we discussed so far? So for what else do I have for this session? So let's see. Well, we started talking about the design last time, as you remember, the as far as design patterns and that type of stuff. So we kind of went through just the general principle, the design patterns, this kind of being these recipes for solving some of the common problems in design. So some of those may apply to actually what you guys are doing. So we may look into adding some of those things once you have a little bit, the code, in a more finished state. So we'll take a look at that. So one thing I wanted to cover a little bit more is SDLC. And I wanted to give you an SDLC. You guys know what SDLC means? SDLC. So that's stands for software delivery, a software development lifecycle. So, very common term. SDLC is basically how companies design and develop their software, deliver their software. So, if somebody asks, like, describe SDLC at your company, right? So that's really whole idea around how do you deliver your software, and it goes from from highest level, right? So how do requirements get initiated all the way to production deployment and bug fix and maintenance. So that's kind of an area I wanted to at least give you an understanding of kind of how my company does it, and just give you a little bit more idea what the SDLC is, right? So I'm gonna spend a few minutes just going over the concepts so you understand what this is. Just like patterns, we're not gonna go a lot in details. Most of you are going to be, at least from the beginning, as you're starting your careers in engineering and in QA engineering, going to be a part of that cycle as DLC, but more at the end of it, right? Because you're going to be testing the code, automation testing. So, but it helps to understand kind of the bigger picture, so you kind of know how you fit in, and then you can probably understand what your company is doing better. So like I said, SDLC is how the companies develop their software, and it really has a lot of phases in there. As you may imagine, you don't really go into user stories usually right away, or developing testing. There are some usually initial phases depending on whether it's a new project, a new product. There is something that's called planning stage, right? Or you can call it discovery or something like that. So before things get into user stories, because user stories really has lowest level, company brings together the stakeholders like product owners and business analysts and technical leaders, and they kind of start figuring out what it is that the project is supposed to accomplish, right? So if it's a new project, new product, then this phase may take a little bit longer, right? Because they kind of try to figure out a lot of things in this whole discovery process. What type of product we want to get on the market? What are the cost benefit analysis, viability, right? Does it make sense for this product to exist? How much it's going to cost us to bring this product to market, the development cost, the benefits. So a bunch of things even before projects hit the delivery cycle, where we basically build and test and deploy. So that's really part of the discovery, which may not even involve at that point developers and QA engineers. It may involve your managers or your managers of your managers. So it's really planning, right? So at this point, there could be part of this planning could be high level estimation, or what's called in the industry t-shirt sizing. I don't know if you guys heard of that, but basically, sometimes in order for the company to give okay to go with a new product, they want to, let's say they want to create a new website that's going to sell some type of a product on it. So they try to figure out, okay, well, do we need to, how do we create this new website, or maybe it's some other digital product, how much is it going to cost, right? Because they may know how much money they're going to make out of it by doing some kind of a competitive analysis, market analysis, but they may not know how much it's going to cost, right? And you may want to decide, do we build it in-house, this website, or do we outsource it, right? So in order to come up with those answers, you want to do high level estimate here. So with that, basically, that's where you may even come in, because a high level estimate means it's really estimate based on really high level requirements. So you're not going to have user stories. You're going to have just high level, points, like maybe even on the feature level, like, well, we're going to have a website that have shopping interface, maybe even like to our example about the vending machine, right? What we talked about the last Tuesday, like we want the vending machine, and we said we want to have those four things, right? Take money, or disperse product. So maybe that's kind of the level that you'd see in the planning stages. So you just have, very, very high level, and you're not going to go into details, and that's what you and your managers may be asked to estimate. And that's called t-shirt sizing, which means it could be, like t-shirts, large, small, medium, extra large, right? So each company will have some kind of understanding of what the large means. Right? Each organization may say large for us means a project that takes, 3 to 6 months. That's large, right? Project that takes our, group 3 to 6 months. They could be considered large. Medium could be 1 to 3 months, and the small could be anything under a month. And then extra large could be 6 months to whenever, infinity. So basically, that's kind of what type of estimate. Based on that, we say, okay, well, it sounds like this vending machine, it's probably, a month worth of work, right? Or 2 months. Doesn't, the actual like days don't really count. So you really figure out which bracket you fall in. If it's, it could be done, a week to 3 weeks, it's small, and then, so on. Based on that, they figure out, okay, how much is it going to cost us approximately? And then basically takes the developer cost, QA costs, all of that stuff. And, that's how you kind of figure out, all right, this is how much this is potentially going to cost us, because our team is saying it's going to take this much. That's how much our team gets paid. And we know that this project may cost us around, it's usually a range, from $30,000 to $60,000, or from, 100,000 to $500,000. So they kind of look at it and they say, well, does it even make sense, right? Because we may not make this much over 5 years on it. What's our return on investment? So this is just an example of kind of some of the thoughts that for example, we do at our company when we talk about the discovery phase. We also talk about things like team composition. Okay, if we were to go with this, right, who is going to do this? Do we have internal resources that can potentially do this? So, they could be working with with managers of different teams and say, look, what's on our plates? Do we have other projects that may need to be pushed away for this one to happen? And so on, right? Or do we need to go and find a vendor to do this? So that's a consideration, right? You don't want to green light a project like this and just say later, like, okay, we go, we want to do it. And then we say, well, we don't really have people to do it. We need 10 developers, 3 QAs, but, we only have, whatever, like 3 developers and 1 QA. So that's where you may get into the vendor management. That's another area of the companies deal with. Vendor management is really around managing the vendors, which are anybody like contract resources, tools and services, and all of that stuff. And last but certainly not list here is a success criteria. So what's success for this project? So, what would it take to make call this project success? Do we get everything that we identify that needs to be delivered? Is time a factor here? Do we need to deliver this in a month? Because sometimes you do everything, and then if you don't deliver quick enough, then you miss the boat, right? It's too late. Maybe a competition already did something similar, or your client already couldn't wait that long. So what's success criteria for this project? So this is really kind of the initial planning before things even get to user stories usually, and that type of stuff. Now, this doesn't always happen, right? Sometimes you have already a product, basically existing product, right? And this was done before, and you basically just adding, the product owner is managing the backlog of that product, and they're just adding features, right? They're adding features, creating user stories based on those needs, and you basically have a set of developers and QA around the product backlog, servicing the product backlog on a consistent basis. So you don't always need to do this high-level strategic planning process. You may already have done this. You have a product and you're just enhancing it, right? And some enhancements could be larger, but it's more of an enhancement state rather than creating a new product. So, does this make sense? Any questions on this? Yeah. So just kind of giving you an overview where you could be, right? You could be a company, and you could be just get a part of existing product. There's a backlog, and you work with the team. You have the estimations and all that stuff, which kind of falls into agile delivery, for a product that's already in development somewhere, existing product. But some of this could happen for really a new product. So after the planning requirements, once you have identified the kind of high-level estimate, high-level requirements, high-level ideas of your team, you kind of get into this design architecture, right? This is where things start getting interesting. As a developer, a QA, you may start getting involved here. Usually companies tend to bring their QA engineers earlier in the process these days, not when the feature or user story is already developed or something like that, right? So you may start getting some level of understanding of the product here, where you get, okay, well, you start breaking down this high set of requirements, working with your business analyst or product owner into features, user stories, start creating user stories, start creating some architecture diagrams, how the system is going to look like. Your architecture team could be part of that development team. Figure out how the data will flow from the different components, how any third-party integrations with other APIs, maybe you'll be calling like Google APIs or something like that. So just really visualizing the system on the high level, right? Kind of figuring out what are the pieces here, how do they all align to solve the problem we're trying to solve. So all of that could be, you may have heard Sprint Zero, right? So that's really the work of Sprint Zero. You put base architecture, base frameworks. You may create the solution, whether it's Java or .NET. You choose your event, you choose your technology stack, and that's where you may start creating your, if it's a new product and there isn't really framework for automation, you'd be starting to create your automation framework. You may not be writing any specific test cases at this point because there is nothing to test, but you could be, as developers are writing, creating like the actual projects in the Java solutions, you know, and putting things in the source control in GitHub, creating those DevOps pipelines, anything to get going, right? That's kind of the beginning, you know, the goal of Sprint Zero, to put the baseline. You could be creating your you know, projects in Selenium and just getting things ready for when you have you know, the actual requirements, you can build on top of something. So very important, Sprint Zero. You know, it's basically laying the foundation for the work, for the development work, right? So basically from the Sprint Zero, usually you're gonna potentially have a set of even user stories for the first sprint, right? So you may have some bunch of kind of titles for the user stories, maybe not the actual details, because you basically kind of create these user story maps. We take the large feature and you say, okay, you know, here are the potential user stories. You may not have the details for each, but you may have something to plan a few sprints ahead, and potentially even one first sprint, enough for the first sprint. So that's kind of what usually leads into the this development testing, which you guys have been already exposed to, right? In part of this class, you kind of start, okay, there's a bunch of user stories, you know, you do architecture and all of that stuff, and you know, you create, developers write the code, and you look at the requirements and you start writing your test cases, whether it's manual, automated. So writing different level of testing, right? Feature, regression, load, responsive, whatever the needs are. So, and this is the one that kind of keeps going, right? As you know, as you have more user stories, and you know, the product owners and BAs keep writing user stories, and you guys kind of go through this stuff. All right, and then you know, eventually production releases, they happen either at the end of this stuff, you know, with true agile, you kind of release this, but then, you know, sometimes if it's a new product, it doesn't make sense to release stuff in production right away, because it just doesn't make any sense. The customer doesn't want to see, you know, the half of a product. So it, you know, you may have a, you know, one production release after some kind of a milestone, right? So you kind of keep testing, and then once you reach some type of milestone where there is enough functionality to push to production, you may do a release. We usually do releases either every 2 weeks or every month. But if it's a new product, you know, like I said, we go into some type of milestones, and you know, we still have sprints every 2 weeks. We add things to staging, we test, but we don't really release to production. Maybe, you know, for a month or two. Once we reach certain milestone, that's you usually call it MVP, most valuable product. So MVP basically means you know, the minimum viable product is kind of, you know, what's the least the customer will be happy with, right? So that's another term you'll hear a lot, MVP, especially in startup companies. Like, what's our MVP? You know, how can we get something out there that customer can potentially use, and you know, but not you know, we don't want to spend years perfecting it because it's going to be too late. So okay, that's it really. Just wanted to give you a big of an overview of kind of the all aspects of SDLC here, so you kind of get a little bit above. I think you guys been mostly here for the most part, right? Development testing, but there are other areas here that is worth being familiar about. Any questions on this?
Can you send us this presentation, please?
Absolutely, yeah. I post this in slides and in Slack a few times, so I'll include the link again.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, see you guys on Thursday. Bye.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Thank you, bye.